Welcome back to the Social Distance Podcast, everybody. George is here, even though you can't see him on screen if you're watching on YouTube. He's just left for a massage. He's in Malaysia for his last race of the season, Tour of Langkawi. So we talk about that. We speak about the gravel worlds. We talk about Ganna's unbelievable hour record. We talk about why does sport immortalize some athletes over others, i.e. Valverde and Nibali's retirement, guard of honor at Lombardia yesterday. What sports can you easy to cheat in? Fishing, golf, they're all up there. So we covered it all on this episode. Like, share, subscribe.
Let's just run the intro and wing it like we always do and see what comes out of it.
Let's get ready to rumble! Front kick.
Just getting bored and dance move chat.
My radar's going pretty hard at the moment. I think we should...
Will you shut up, man?
That escalated quickly.
We're going to need to get some more qualified guests on the show, eh?
I see in your show notes, Jonesy, has the F-bomb become more accepted? You'd fucking hope so for anyone listening to this show.
I think it has. I think it has. I think we were pioneers of just running it all the time and not giving a F-U-C-K.
Yeah.
But you hear it all the time in post-game interviews. Like, I was watching the NRL Grand Final last Sunday, and the bloke after the granny, they go, "Oh, how's it feel?" And he goes, "Oh, it's just fucking incredible." But there's no, like, remember in the old days when someone would drop an F-bomb on live TV, they go, "Oh, sorry." They don't even do it anymore.
Yeah, they
just
panic. They panic to cover it up.
Yeah.
Even this year in cycling, I've noticed the change in the commentary, especially with Carlton Kirby, who's actually been the victim, or he's been the commentator who's had to like try to correct it. And I remember hearing earlier in a race, earlier in the year, some guy said "fuck" in his interview, and Carlton was like, sort of felt like he owed the listeners apology. So he was like, "Oh, sorry about the language, guys. Obviously, we can't control that." And then this year at the Vuelta, Pascal Ackermann, he is known for it. I watched about 3 interviews with him. And by the end of the Vuelta, after the last stage, I interviewed him and he said, "fuck" again. And Carlton was just like, just didn't even acknowledge it. You could just see he was just like, this is just what he does now.
Remco did it at the Vuelta. One of the hard days, they go, "How was it?" And he just goes, "Yeah, we went fucking balls out from the bottom of the climb." The same thing.
It's
is like,
often guys who it's not their first language. So it's like, it's like also when I speak Spanish and then like, I'm not 100% sure on the order of swear words. So I'm chucking in all these joders and hostias and everything. But maybe one of them's like a C-bomb. Maybe one of them that all my Spanish mates just say around us because, and they've just taught us that actually we're like hood rats, and I'm chucking that on a live Spanish interview because you don't know the order. I mean, we know that a shit is generally fine. A fuck is you're getting up there, But
I definitely do it. I did it at the post office the other week. I just like you say in Spanish, you say Ostia, like, I don't know why, because we just learned to say it. And I was at the post office and they said something, and I was like, "Oh, Ostia." They'd be like being at New Zealand post office going, "Oh, fuck."
Is Ostia bad? Because I didn't even know that. I thought Ostia was just like bloody.
I don't know. That's exactly what we're saying.
And that's why, that's exactly why Ackermann's telling you it was fucking hard to him.
Another good example of a cyclist that was just tainted by having the wrong people teaching him English was Esteban.
Oh yeah.
He's a shocker.
That was a shocker.
Shocker.
I had to pull him a few times, especially in the early days when his English was really like. The first time I met Esteban was at a training camp in Bright in Victoria in Australia, December camp, and he didn't speak a word of English. And then like only a few months later, he's like gone to like a little bit of a level of English, but he was dropping words like on social media, like sending me comments. I was like, words I can't repeat
comment
on
the
podcast.
social media once. I remember that. I remember when it was like, and I looked at that and I went, "You need to ring Esteban."
I was like, "Mate, you can't say that." Good times, though. How's Malaysia, GB? GB, you just landed in Tour of Langkawi, have you?
Yeah, apologies for the bad sound quality and the awkward facial angles. How's Malaysia? I've been here about 4 hours now. And I don't know what good things to say so far.
You haven't got the shit yet.
I think it's just a mindset. The place is what you make it. And it's probably a beautiful place. And I'm making it a terrible one. So, I'll get back to you next week, tell you how good it was.
It's a home of Milo.
Piss off. Is it?
I think so.
Yeah. No, Milo's everywhere because we did Langkawi in 2013, Bills.
Mm.
I remember.
I thought that was a Kiwi thing.
All I can remember in that 2013 Langkawi is how humid it was. So I spent most of my time in the car with the aircon just cranked. But then I remember another time it was like, we're talking about inappropriate conduct. I just remember we got into a pack lift once and someone let that screaming fart rip that brought the house down. I think Pete Weaning was in the lift as well. And it's just absolute scenes. That's all my takeaways from Langkawi was.
Adding to the humidity. Do you know what I did see this morning was a cash converters?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's old school.
People in Europe have no idea what I'm talking about. But I'm thinking you know how like if you used to go to the Japan Cup at the end of the year, you just sell all your kit? And like people just come in with handfuls of cash and you're selling your kit. I wonder if I could just take a suitcase down to cash converters.
Yeah.
Into the week.
Sure.
$80 for it.
Walk out with a guitar or something. Walk out with like a guitar with 2 strings on it.
Do you know what one of my memories of Langkawi is? I did Langkawi 3 or 4 times, I reckon. And back in the day, I haven't done it I think the last time I did it was 2015 or something. And they used to pay out the prize money, which was good prize money, just in cash at the end of the race. So you'd finish the race and you'd get a message on the team director would get a message from the organizer saying, "Oh, come down and collect your prize money." And we went down there, and there's just this armored truck just pulled up in the hotel lobby, and these security guards bring in all these briefcases, and they just go into this room and they just divvy out your prize money in US dollars. And like that year, we won I think we won nearly $100,000 US dollars in prize money. And we were flying back to Europe that night, and they were like, "Here's your cash," and we're like,
"What are we going to do with that?
What are we supposed to do with this?" Like, just walk on the plane with a briefcase with 100 grand in it.
A similar race from like Dennis was telling me that in the last year of Belkin, they did there was China 1 and China 2. So this was, I think, post Beijing, but pre Guangxi maybe. And I think it was still Guangxi or whatever, but you could stay longer and do this other one in late October. And everyone was like, no one ever wanted to go. It was pretty much like the following season. It was so late in the year. And the only way they could get people to go was by offering ridiculous prize money. And it was the same thing. They all offered it in cash. And they went with like Marina Hoffman and stuff. They won GC. They won like 5 stages. And they had the same situation. So they were just stuffing money in like bike frames and and seat posts and everything, every which way to try to get home, divvy it out between all the staff. So even the mechanics were walking in with $10,000 US dollars just because they're like, "Here's your money. Cash."
Yeah, we didn't take ours actually. We said, "Oh, nah, you got to transfer this." Like,
you said, "Oh, no, give it to charity," didn't you?
Yeah, you give it to charity.
You said, "Oh, we don't need this."
I said, "Give it to Coldplay. They'll give it to charity."
For sure, 10% every day of the week. But are you a fan just on cash in sport? I don't know if we've talked about it, but that Live Golf Tour. You're a golfer, Bills. You're aiming to go pro with those sticks you stole off me. Do you reckon this is going to work, or do you reckon it's going to die in the ass?
I reckon it will work because there's the money. It's enough for top golfers to make the switch. I reckon it will work in a couple of ways because it's going to it's a different format of golf, which I haven't really watched it and don't really understand it that well. But by the sounds of it, it's a more exciting format of golf.
Shotgun start, and it's 3 rounds, and that's it. Everyone makes the cut. Yeah,
and the prize money's big, the start money's big, all that sort of stuff. But what it's also done is it's made the PGA Tour, which is a very old school and traditional, organization, I guess, in some ways. That it's made them go, "Oh, we need to make some changes." So they're actually they're looking at making changes within the PGA organization. And I think eventually what's going to happen is that either the PGA will become a more exciting format of golf as well, potentially, or I think that the PGA is actually just going to have to concede and go, "Fuck, you can play both."
Do you know what I think? Like the major changes is if you're looking at like getting people into golf that don't play golf as a non-golfer. Like if I look at the things that fuck me off about golf, one is this new live competition could bring a new dress code, so you don't have to dress up like a tweed wanker. Secondly,
you can wear shorts for the first time ever. Shorts?
Oh, can you?
Yeah,
exactly. I like it better already. You know?
Yeah.
Secondly, quieting people down in the greens. Get rid of that. We need full gas like distraction. It's like cricket. Like if Mitchell Stark's steaming in to bowl at 160k an hour, there's 10,000 New Zealanders trying to put him off. You know what I mean? Smashing drums, trumpets, everything, trying to make his life as hard as possible. Bring that to the golf course. Get a rowdy.
I remember once I went to the President's Cup here in Melbourne, and everyone's real quiet. And then some bloke got his phone call, and players were just practicing their putts. And it must have been one of his mates going, "What are you doing, Jacko?" And he goes, "Yeah, mate, I'm just on the practice screen watching Adam Scott work on his 3 putts." And as he said that, Scott like duffed it and then like looked at him as if to go, "You arsehole." But it does. Golfers like they can't handle sledges.
No.
But how good would it be if there's just sledges?
Well, they have that
noise.
and live golf now. So they've like also part of their format is like they're quite loose with the media. Like the Social Distance podcast would probably get a start there if we wanted to go.
We'll take the cash. We
don't have any moral problems. They like have these guys that I follow on Instagram, and they just go to the live golf like practice rounds, and they're allowed to as part of the live golf media team and the press conferences, and just ask all these like real weird questions. Like he like I saw one of them. He's interviewing I can't remember who it was, one of the big stars, and he's like such and such. It's a big tournament coming up. Can you explain to me why my father doesn't love me? And like shit like that. And then like
they go right up your alley, Bills.
They go to the practice rounds and they like stand in the tee box and they go like, "This guy looks like he owns a house in the Hamptons, but like sledging from the side." Like it's pretty funny.
Right.
But I guess the big thing with live golf, before we get back to cycling, is like the kickback on live golf is that it's the money's coming from Saudi Arabia, and there's the people that are saying, "Oh, do you support the Saudi Arabian way of life?" Or welcome to sport now, mate. Welcome to sport in 2022, eh? Like,
geez, imagine having
every football team's. There's a lot of money coming from those countries now.
I mean,
the thing is, you can draw links
about Ineos sponsoring the All Blacks. It's like, well, do you want us to have a national team?
Yeah.
But I saw people responding on social saying, "Well, okay, if that's your moral high ground, you don't want to have any connection." Like companies like Subway and all this have got and Uber have got investments out of the Saudi whatever bank fucking group. So there's always links back to it. So it's hard to draw a clean snap. And you get it. Like you get why people going, hang on, it sounds a bit off. But at the same time, whenever there's people that come in and shake the apple tree, like it happened with fucking cricket. Like when they started the 1 days and that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So like of course you get it when people there's oil companies in your sustainable country, this and that. But I guess what you said, what it comes down to is not everyone's as clean as they, you know what I mean? Like you'd be surprised where a lot of money comes from. Or
anyway, regardless,
exactly. So
anyway, you'll be looking forward to it's a late run into October for you, GB. I'm sure you'll be just a nice little 8-day stage race to wrap up the year. Be looking forward to it.
So I was trying to do the math this morning, and on the plane I was trying to work out like how long I've been away from home for. And like I'm at the point where I don't normally get homesick anymore, like, from New Zealand, but like genuinely my sister sent me this photo, it was of my nephew, like staring at this big picture of me outside the bike shop. And I was like, and like she texted me, she's like, yeah, he was wondering like why you weren't answering him. Like, because he doesn't like he doesn't know, he knows me from a phone, but I normally talk back on a phone. He's like, yeah, you weren't answering him. And then I was like, oh fuck, I actually feel like really like homesick because like I haven't been home for so long, But even out of Girona and Andorra, I've been traveling now in 3 months. I think it was 12 days at home in 3 months or something. So I'm currently on another 2.5 week trip. So as you can tell, morale is high.
Yeah.
Like always.
As always.
Oh, you're not too bad, mate.
No, you're right.
Good look at the positives. I think we were all three of us with flat last step. We got through. It's good to get around, support the boys.
It was a big day of cycling yesterday.
Oh,
this is a Sunday recording. This is outside of the box of what we normally record on, but Jonesy's on a
Should
flight
we
to Europe
pretend
tomorrow.
that we know the result of the gravel worlds?
Yeah, so
And
Van der
just
Poel
go
won
like-
the gravel worlds.
Shit
Yeah,
it
shit, he did. Good ride.
Yeah, he cleaned it
Who was
up, you know.
second?
Hattie, and third was
Oh, yeah.
Lopez. Yeah, so it was good. It was a good race to watch. I enjoyed it.
Lopez.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually watched
it
it
a
at
dark horse. I didn't.
Yeah, I actually watched it at Darryl Impey's house. I had a Barbie at Darryl Impey's house and watched the Gravel Worlds yesterday afternoon, which is what I'm going to do in about an hour.
Yep.
So
Imagine if you got this correct. The Oracle.
If you pull 3 out of 3,
Oh,
he's going to piss
huge.
it in, though, isn't he?
yeah, Van der Poel's going to piss it in.
Morally, would you rather the 3 gravel? Let's say morally, would you rather the podium comes from 3 gravel riders or from 3 roadies?
I like to see the gravel guys get on top, because there's also been like this argument that because you don't need, I don't understand entirely the qualification process for the gravel worlds, but essentially it's like there isn't one. You know, if you're a gravel rider, you might have to pick up 1 point at one of the UCI events they do around throughout the year. But if you're a road rider, like if you're Van der Poel or these guys, you can just turn up. But then what's happened with the start order, and I imagine it's quite crucial in a gravel race when you're heading into a single track off the start, and there's 120 blokes, 140 blokes on the start line. All the road riders have been given front row, and all the gravel riders who have been racing the gravel scene all year are starting at the back. So there's a bit of controversy around that.
UCI points because Steamboat Gravel and all of this aren't gravel races, aren't UCI races, so they're not actually getting any points.
No, they have points, but they just decided we want the road riders, I guess the big names of the sport, to win the title or have a better shot
But
at
didn't
winning
the
the title.
gravel riders get together when they announced this, this UCI series in the world, and didn't they all say, we're going to make a pact that we don't go to any of them, and only if your sponsor requires you will you go to it, but let's all basically get together and give it this cold shoulder. But then I saw like a few guys started sneaking into them and actually were just getting results. And then, they were going, oh, hold on a minute, these UCI rounds seem easier than Leadville or whatever it is. That's not even a race. Belgian Waffle Ride or whatever the hell. And then actually once a few went, it started a little sprinkle, and then the floodgates open, and now everyone's at the UCI Worlds.
It's like the unions. Like those guys would have been like, scab!
Yeah. I think what happened is it's quite an interesting evolution in gravel really quickly. So it was this, like, I guess you'd call it like this really cool, like hit sort of scene with it had like, especially in the States, massive amounts of participation, like thousands of guys doing these races, 100 guys racing and 1,000 guys participating. But that was kind of the scene that they all enjoyed. They're like, no, we want to have this more low key. We'd like race the gravel, we finish it, we have a couple of IPAs.
And we wait for each other in the feed zones.
Yeah, and we have a couple of IPAs together, and like all that sort of stuff. Roll our jeans up, but then like now what's happened is the UCI's got involved and it's created a bigger event. And also what's happened in those other events in the States is that like because it's such a big event, there's actually a lot of money up for grabs. Like next year, I think it's a 3-series race with $250,000 prize money. So
imagine that, 250 grand for 3 races.
Yeah, the scene of drinking IPAs with your mates and having a laugh on the gravel for 3 or 4 hours beforehand is actually, it's going to die, because as soon as you wave a carrot in someone's face, people start looking for gains. How can I make my bike faster? Okay, I'm going to start wearing a skin suit instead of a baggy t-shirt. I'm going to start doing this. And it's actually, within the space of 12 months, it's going to be a professional sport. And it's going to be just like road cycling.
I know a few of those guys in that scene, though, and I know that they'll still open an IPA, take a photo of it for Instagram, and then put a hashtag on the thing and, pretend they're sleeping in their van, but they're actually at the Hilton with a mechanic and a whole team around them. But I had to laugh when the tide started to turn on this whole scene, because I remember reading this interview. It was after one of the races, and it was a really long race, and some of the guys started with a Camelback instead of they had Camelback and bottles, and it was hot and long, whatever. And normally, so they come to the first feed zone, and like some guys stop to refill their bottles, and other guys are like, "Well, I've been carrying a fucking Camelback for 100k. I don't need water. I'm going to keep going." So heaps of them keep going, and then I think it was like Pete Stettner and these guys who were quite good riders in the gravel scene. They were like, what the hell? These guys attacked me in the feed zone and just blasted them on social media and Strava and stuff, saying it was like, that was the day gravel died, you know, when they didn't wait for each other in the feed zone. The day gravel died.
So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting race, but I'm looking forward to actually watching it, just something different.
Yeah.
But also yesterday was the Pogman cleaned up as expected Lombardia. When I say expected, I just think, you know, he's always a good shot, isn't he?
Mass
and then
pushed pretty hard in that sprint, eh?
Mass was going good, yeah.
How good is
but what was more impressive in the cycling world yesterday was what Filippo Ganna did on the track yesterday evening. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny? I had no idea what happened because I was walking onto my plane as he started, and I walked past some mechanics who were watching it in the airport in the boarding gate, and I was like, "Oh, how's he going?" He's like, "Oh, he's just started, but he's a little bit slow, you know. He's like 2 or 3 seconds down," and I was like, "Oh, he's down already. Shit, okay." Got on the plane, got off, looked 57 km an hour. I was like, "Wow, it's obviously warming up."
Do you reckon that's hit, Bills? Like in terms of people having a crack at it now, they're just going to go, fuck it.
Remco's going to put 60 km an hour at some point.
You reckon?
It was interesting what Ganna said in his interview. Like he basically alluded to pretty directly that he wanted to do 57, and he did 56.7 or something. So
how many more meters did he need to ride?
He needs to do another lap and a half, really. And then, so I'm going to be interested to see if he has another crack, because I feel like he was kind of like, what I've just done is amazing. Like the coolest thing was that, and like this is when they changed the rules of the hour record like 5 or 6 years ago, and they said, okay, we're going to abolish Boardman's record, or we're going to keep Boardman's record as like this all-time record, but it no longer counts as the official hour record because it was done in the Superman position, in positions and on bikes that are no longer legal. So we're going to keep that as, you know, this magic number that no one's ever going to see again. And then we're going to start the hour record process again, where you've got to be on bikes within all the current UCI rules. Measurements, got to be able to buy the bike, even though it's going to cost €75,000 to buy Gunners. You can still buy it, essentially.
But you can print it,
all these, yeah, you can 3D print it. But then what was cool about what Ganna did was he unified the whole thing. You know, he beat Boardman's record and he said, right, that's the record now. Boardman's one is now
there's no new records. That is the record. Yeah. That's the fastest anyone's ever gone.
Yeah. And I was thinking,
you know what I think though with Ganna is he's already done all the hard work, like all the testing and the everything like that. And I just don't think he's in unreal form. I think he did that at 90%. Like he didn't win the Worlds. He was struggling a little bit after the tour. Like he hits that at full speed for ride 58.
Yeah, I reckon he didn't do what he's capable of.
But isn't he better off just waiting now? Like wait till someone has a crack at it, and if they do miraculously beat it, I wouldn't go in again.
No, I reckon
to try and
wait
beat
till
it
he's
again.
in really good form again. He's already got all the bike, got everything sorted. He'll just wait till he's in good form and then just go do it. But I was hearing that he was staying at altitude, and like once a week he'll take a helicopter down to do a track session, and then I'd helicopter him back up to the top of the mountain for altitude.
That's insane, eh? It's the whole Ineos sport model. I was talking to Hannah about it last night. I was like, I reckon this budget for this hour record, which was not a small budget, hasn't, and I could be completely wrong. I'm just hypothesizing, just speculating as we do, like we say every show, that the money's actually come from this Ineos sports organization. You know how there's Ineos and Dave.
What was behind Breaking Two?
Yeah, so like behind Kipchoge's sub 2 hour marathon, like there must be like a budget events on these, like, you know, the hour record, the 2 hour marathon, blah blah blah, all these sorts of different bits and pieces. And they've obviously under that same umbrella, they've got the cycling team, they've got the America's Cup team, they've got the Formula One team, they've got the All Blacks, they've got the Nice Football Club, like, you know, all these things underneath this one umbrella, and it's a separate budget to what the cycling team is.
Sport, hey?
Yeah, but like I reckon it's the hour record. Okay, it's different to running because running is like the only piece of equipment that you can really refine to go fast on is a pair of shoes. You know, the hour record you can make so many changes to skin suits, helmets, bikes, wheels, chains, chain rings, picking the right day, the right weather, the right air pressure, all that sort of stuff. But when you just nut it down to like remove all that stuff and talk about just the physical effort, the hour record to go that fast for 1 hour has to be up there with one of the peaks of human performance, along with the 2 hour marathon.
I think the marathon's still most impressive.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I think if you think about like what's the most R&D influenced sport out of all of those shoes were massive, and you know, like it suddenly took two minutes off everyone's time. But I think America's Cup is where the Ineos boat in America's Cup, that's where they have the most influence with. That's where Cash does the most or goes the furthest. You know, doesn't matter how good a sailor you got, you have to build a boat. You know.
Yeah.
Well, another sport that's in the news, Bulls, is fishing. How are those? Anyone that been living under a rock, there was a big controversy in this fishing title. It's massive in the States. You talk about cash. They got 250 grand tournaments. And these pricks.
He was using Ineos fishing reel, this guy, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. That was the dark side of the...
Actually, you got a soundbite? Because my favourite thing about this whole controversy is the reaction when he's like trying to threaten to call the cops on the guy.
I'll add it in. I'll do that in post.
Okay.
So here's
right,
the audio.
This is going to be audio of a guy.
We got weights and fish! There we go!
So yeah, like it was interesting. Like, so in a sport that I thought was like almost impossible to cheat in. Like, how do you cheat in fishing? Like, you've got to put a hook, line, and sinker.
Rolling up with like a frozen fish.
Yeah,
and you know, like that's about the extent of it.
But they said that this crew had been doing it for like 12 months.
Yeah, and he's like world champion, or they call him world champion because it's the marathon.
How do you not know when you're throwing these like bass down and they look the same, they're sort of the same width, yet this thing's 2 pounds heavier than the one next to you? Your brain doesn't go, hang on, what was that fish eating? Like, oh, it was eating lead sinkers, you know? Yeah. What are the odds?
They just literally stuffed it, like, so they must have just got the fish, opened its mouth and just pushed lead sinkers into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and just stuffed them in. And then when the guy caught him...
Surely it was bizarre that they're going, why are these guys catching such dense fish? Like, that's like, I got bigger fish, but they're just fucking dense.
But as you said, when the guy busted him and he cuts it open, and imagine the reaction if you're the guy that's been cheating. You have to stand in front of him as your whole world's about to crumble. Because they're talking about throwing these guys in the clink because it's fraud and it's caused a massive stink. But when the guy reacted, as you heard in the audio, he goes, what did you say? There's weights. They got weights. And then, like, anyone that knows a fisherman, they're not chill dudes. Like, most fishermen fish because they've got to get away from, you know, it's sort of like a stress mechanism because most of them are hotheads or they've got some sort of tweak in their brain chemistry. That once these fishermen caught these pricks for cheating, it was just... could have been a bloodbath. There could have been manslaughter charges. Like, they wanted fucking blood, and rightly so. Yeah. But the bloke just had to cop it. Like, you just sit there and cop it. Like, bloke's going, you're fucking dead, man. Yeah.
If I was going to cheat, I've just thought of a good way to cheat in fishing. Instead of putting lead sinkers in them, can't you just inject them with more water? Fill them up with water?
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose it opens up the door where there'll be some people that go, I can't believe they cheated. But then there's other people going, well, they just cheated bad. Like, if you're going to cheat, like, do it properly.
Yeah, there'll be the people out there going, I can't believe I got away with it.
Cheating? I think golf would be the hardest sport you could possibly ever cheat in.
No, it's not. The foot wedge or the you know, when you're in a bunker and you put a bit of sand in your hand and the ball in the other, and then when you swing, you let go, so the sand goes out with the ball. People go, shot, Jane. No, shot.
It's easy. It's easy to cheat in. It's easy to cheat in recreational golf. Like, you and I are playing a game on Wednesday here in Spain, and I have no doubt that there'll be some foul play. Like, all I need you to do, Jonesy, is shank one drive, which probably with you will only be one drive because you're a good golfer. But you shank one. You shank one drive into the bushes, and I hit one straight, and then you go in to look for your ball. Don't worry, mate. You'll hear all of a sudden, like, fuck, mate, mine's on the green.
I thought you were hitting a white ball. That was a yellow nut. Yeah.
But like George is right.
I
Like
think,
in professional golf,
I think professional golf.
so many
what
cameras.
drugs are you going to take? But
Yeah, well,
getting on the gear is not going to help you.
I had just on that. I had a mate that told me this horrific story. I don't know if I've told it on the potty before, but he was playing in a tournament in under 15s, and he said it was a big tournament around Sydney, and he was in this bunker, and he did the hand wedge, and like what I was telling you, and he like threw it out because it was really steep, and he put himself down for like a 3 or a 4 when really he'd had 7 shots, and then did it. Anyway, he goes up to get the award, and they go, and the winner of the junior tournament is Clayton Kelly. And everyone's clapping, and his family were there, and he said there's like 300 people there in this room. He goes to get the award, and this old prick at the bar goes, hang on here. Just hang on here. He goes, I saw that kid have at least 4 shots in the bunker, and he's put down a 4. And he reckons in that moment, they like grabbed the trophy back, and it was like the fisherman. Like they barred him from the club. He was fucking done, like out. But didn't stop him because I saw him use the foot wedge in a tournament in Sale, so he didn't learn from it. So
we didn't get any better at cheating, did he?
What about surfing? Surfing be hard to cheat in.
Yeah. Like billiards. Billiards would be hard.
Billiards, billiards would be real hard.
There'd be a few.
Yeah.
Would be.
But I think whenever you get footage of people caught red-handed, there's always that reaction in your brain that goes, thank fuck that's not me. Like there's something addictive about seeing people getting done where you go, I'm so glad that that's not me.
But for me, that's my biggest fear. That's why I could never cheat at a sport, because I just think of the shame. I just, you know what I mean? Like the intense, like I remember when we were young, we were just in schools cross country, and it was out at Rabbit Island, and we were running the best guy from the best 4 guys, whatever, from each school go and do this race around this, and it's just through the forest and this little. And one guy from our team, one guy from our college, like he wasn't even good. He was just there because he wanted a day off school, you know, and no one else wanted to go. And he ended up 5th, but the teacher had seen him just straight lining it through the forest and just popping out, popping out. And they just made such an example of this guy. I felt pretty bad for him, but at the same time, I was just like, I wasn't angry at him. I wasn't anything. I just had that cringe, horrific,
It's different when you're dealing with kids, because all kids, cheating is almost the wrong term for kids. Like when you're a 10-year-old kid, you're playing backyard with your cousins or something. You always find a way to
advantage.
Yeah, but you're not a cheater, so you got to find a way to say hey, that's the wrong. That's not in the spirit of what we're doing. But don't punish them or banish them from the golf club when they're 13 years old for the poor bastard was just he's probably in tears. I can't get this fucking ball out of this fucking bunker, you know? Well, don't fucking come back, you know?
Exactly. Hey, I delivered on the promise. I think your audio's gone off, George. We sent the jersey bills to our competition winner. I just wanted to reiterate that because people would probably doubt follow through with our competition winners. But
we still do have 2 others to deliver that we haven't delivered yet.
Haven't you sent yours yet?
No, but we always send them 6 months late, George and I.
Yeah, fair enough. You will get them.
I think I've given it to you. I've given my part of the bargain to you.
No, that was another competition. This is a competition where you and this is your fault, actually. You got to take ownership for this.
What's this competition for?
When we read out the schoolyard stories, the school stories for the Alperson jersey, and then we read 3 stories out, and before we even had the chance to say, okay, which one are we voting for? George fucking piped up and goes, "Oh, they're all good. We'll give them all something. Well done, guys." I'm like,
yeah,
I've only got 1 jersey.
And you're like, oh no. Well, Alan Hill, he's got his. Look at him, stoked.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, good on you, Alan.
But the other 2,
which one do you guys ride Selfson?
The other 2 out there, we apologise, but you'll get something. We'll turn up at some point in time. I want to go back quickly to Lombardia because there's something that I found really interesting happened yesterday at Lombardia. So, and it's a real hot, a spotlight on how in sports we choose to immortalize the really successful or immortalize the heroes of the sport. So Nibali and Valverde were retiring. It was their last race of their career. But in the same race was Tano Kangat, was the last race of his career. Mikel Nieve was the last race of his career. And that's just the 4 I know of. But before the start of Lombardia, they made this guard, the organisers made a real effort to take Nibali and Valverde on stage together. Then they created this guard of honour made all the riders go and spread out as a guard of honour so that Nibali and Valverde could ride to the front of the peloton and start the race, you know, and like this whole big thing. Like, this is their last race, and these guys are heroes. They won a shitload of races, 3 Grand Tours, 4 Grand Tours between them, 3 from Nibali alone, 133 victories from Valverde, rah, rah. But when I was watching the footage of them rolling up the guard of honour, Mikel Nieve was just standing there, like, and he was just like, he doesn't give a shit because he's a fucking legend, Frosty. He was just like, I don't need that stuff anyway. But there was a part of me that thought, like, why doesn't he get to ride up the middle of the guard of honour as well? You know?
I mean, he's been part of some crucial moments. It's like when you think of Froome winning the Tour, him up on Ventoux that day. Was it Ventoux? Yeah, when he was riding for the Scurry. Or how many Tour de France wins and Grand Tour wins has he actually been a part of as well, you know?
And Nibali, who was riding, and it's not Nibali's fault or Valverde's fault, and, you know, cool. And I actually like both those guys as riders. I think they're fucking awesome. But like Tano Kangat, who's a teammate of mine, he's retiring. He's been professional for 14 years. Mate, he was in those teams with Nibali when he won those Grand Tours. Like you think, like, why can't those guys do the same? Like, but I sort of understand why it happens because of who they are.
Are you hurting a little bit because you didn't get a guard of honour at Bois Capel?
Yeah, I think you're going down a rabbit hole here to end up with, where was your guard of honour? Which is a fair point. It's a fair point.
Mate, I had the perfect guard of honour. I had all I needed. I had 2 mates come on the bus after and give me a beer, and I drank them with him. Nothing more that I need.
Yeah, but a guard of honour would have been cool if they had made a bit of a hoo-ha about it.
Well, no one knew either.
Well, that doesn't help.
It doesn't help, yeah. It doesn't help when no one had a clue that it was my last race, except my teammates. And 2 other people I told.
If you really want to make like an emotional goodbye for us, you have to suffer it out. You can't retire at the end of the year. You have to retire in January. You have to either go like to Down Under or the Nationals, because basically no one's giving you a guard of honour in Europe.
Nah, like the ferry, and like this sort of comes back to what I was saying about how we immortalise sports heroes. You know, we choose who we're going to immortalise, and it's often based on what they've done in the sport and their successes they've had. You know, like when Federer retired, of course that was going to be huge. You know, when Tom Brady retired for the 3rd or 4th time, same again, huge. Like, but it's the fairy tale endings are reserved for the very few, you know?
Oh, yeah. Most people in cycling sulk out of the sport bitterly. That's generally how it goes. The unfortunate truth of it is the majority of guys don't stop on their watch. They don't get another contract. They're in October and December, and then it gets to January and they go, fuck, I guess I'm retired. That's how it ultimately ends for a lot of these guys. And then suddenly they have this panic because there was no... Like I think a successful retirement in cycling is if it's on your watch and you go, right, I think I'm ready to do it now. And if you can choose when you retire, that's already essentially a fairy tale ending.
Yeah. But man, like, I guess this retirement thing's been going on for about 3 episodes now. But like it's watching like Nibali and Valverde retire, and then Gilbert's retiring today, his last race today in Paris Tours. It's a change of Langeveld. It's the changing of the guard, man.
Oh, Langeveld, he done.
Yeah. Terpstra. Like big names. Big riders.
Yeah. That is a changing of the guard. Froome going on another year.
Valverde is unbelievable, man. 21 years pro.
He ran 6th.
He's 42.
He's a
42. He said he's going better than he's ever gone. He did his best ever time up Triviglio in Lombardy.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he go again? Just go again. I reckon he'll get the month down the track. Yep.
Exactly. He's going to realise like he hasn't talked to his missus in 22 years, and she's going to go, you know what?
I don't really want you around this much.
After 3 weeks at home, he's going to go, who's this lady that's always on my couch?
Do you reckon he'll do like do you reckon he'll do a Cosmo Kramer and just turn up? Like training camp, he'll just roll up in his kit. Like, and he's like, what are you doing? I didn't think I thought you were retired. So, yeah, I'm just going for a spin and just keep turning up.
Yeah.
Speaking of training camps, did you see what's kicking off in NBA preseason training camp?
Oh, yeah.
No?
Draymond Green knocked out, what's his name? Paul.
Who?
Golden State Warriors. You know Draymond Green? He plays for Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, he's a hothead.
One of the top dudes. They're at training the other day, and he had a bit of an argument with one of his teammates, and he just walked over to him and just fucking smacked him straight in the face. Both just dropped him.
Really?
Yeah.
Knocked him out cold.
That happened in the Last Dance, the Steve Kerr thing, where he chinned Steve Kerr in a practice. There was apparently a couple of Aussie guys over there filming it, and they said to him afterwards, "Hey, can we have that vision? We don't want you to that can't get out, all this sort of stuff." And then I was watching that All or Nothing doco series with on Tottenham Hotspur. Have you said that's a cracker with Mourinho? Did you see that they had the training incident? That one guy who's a hothead on the team, and he jumped into the crowd one game and went to belt some bloke who was mouthing off with his brother in the crowd. Like, he's like, "Nah, I just fucking had enough. He's giving me shit the whole game and fucking." He lost it. And I'm thinking, oh, he's going to get rubbed out for weeks. And Mourinho goes, "Yeah, nah, I back him. There's, you can't do that in the crowd." I'm thinking, fucking hang on. And then he belted the Korean striker, did this aggressive slide tackle and studded him at training, and then fucking punch-ons.
That's awesome. What this, the Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors are saying now. They're like, "It's all good. We'll handle it internally. Don't worry. No one's going to miss any games." Like, it made me think, like, how would you handle that in a cycling team? Like, imagine you're on the bus at the Tour de France, stage 16 or something, and everyone's getting tired, and everyone's wicks are a bit shorter. Imagine if one of the guys just got up and fucking smacked one of your teammates. Like, how would that be handled in cycling team?
I've heard it happening. I know. I've
gone
two
close.
occasions it's happened.
In the bus or on the road?
One in the bus and one on a training camp.
I've heard of
and it was
something happening,
and it never saw the light of day, and it was handled internally on both occasions.
I think that's the way it should be done.
And I was there for neither of them, but I know the story. The story definitely went around to the teams.
I reckon that's the way to do it. It's just to handle it internally.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Yeah. And just be like, mate, testosterone-filled blokes. I mean, it's not okay, but let's look at the circumstance. Let's look at what happened. Let's try to, and ultimately, 9 times out of 10, with men that know each other well and get on well, and most times, if they have a bit of a Barney, normally you can get it to a point where they're both okay with each other again.
Well, Mourinho handled it well.
I probably would never be okay because I would never get recovered from taking a hit. I'd be so frail.
Yeah, you drop like
that'd be the end of me.
Like a shit.
Your jaw would be like watching a gender reveal. It'd be like watching a gender reveal. Your jaw getting hit. It'd just be like dust, oh, it's a boy. It's blue.
It's red.
Yeah,
it'd be red.
But Mourinho handled it well. He just said, "Guys, what I saw that because there was another punch on with the goalkeeper and a player in the game, and it went into the rooms." He goes, "No, that's you got to look at the positives. That's passion. You don't accept standards, and I get it. And yeah, we got to look at the positives." I'm thinking, yeah, that's one way to frame it. Move on.
It's all about mindset.
That's it. Just positive spin. Wanted to go on about.
Yeah.
You're still not done with this music thing.
You're not
going to go again on Coldplay because let's be honest, I pulled your pants down and.
Yeah, I just want to revisit it. I just want to wrap the show up. Wrap the show up now with a revisit of this greatest British bands of all time.
Oh, I heard you boys talking about this when Rowan was on. When I was
I want to get. We never got George's 3. I want to hear George's 3.
Okay,
I'm just looking here.
I think he sent them to the group. I think he said Led Zepp.
Oh, it's very easy for me.
The Beatles.
You got to go Beatles. You got to go Led Zepp. And then for me, which neither of you two said in the last one, is I would have gone with Queen.
Ooh.
Well,
Freddie Mercury being one of the greatest.
What about the Stones?
I love the Stones, absolutely, but I think Queen were, in terms of influential bands, went further.
What about Coldplay? Where's Coldplay sit in your ranking?
Do I have the option to destroy my eardrums before I listen to Coldplay, or do I put them somewhere on the?
All right, we
No,
get
they
it.
give
Golf players
they do
they're
stuff
on
for
the
charity.
nose. Yeah, they're on the nose. I'm not gonna fight for that band anymore. They're done. I get it. I'm walking away.
I know they liked your video. that
Oh,
you made
Craig
of them,
David. That's
and
not
they
a bad one
shared it.
either, Jonesy. I'm walking away. He's British. Craig David.
He played with Coldplay live. It's
I'm
just-
walking away.
See, there's the two worst
magical evening.
people on that list. doing
Troubles
photos.
in my life.
All right.
I'm
Well, then
walking away.
who would be your bottom three then on that list?
Coldplay.
Bottom three: Craig David, Coldplay. Oh, do you know who I'd also maybe have to put on there? Fleetwood Mac. Oh, this is very hard because leaving off Stones and Fleetwood Mac. Oh,
My
it's very
bottom
hard to mention.
three.
It's very small on my screen.
My bottom three would be Suede because I don't know who they are. Bell
Yeah.
and Sebastian because I don't know who they are, and
Oh, Bell's
Moody
terrible.
Blues. Never heard of them.
Pet Shop Boys are pretty bad in my opinion.
No, Moody Blues. That's Moody Blues.
Roxy Music. What's Roxy Music?
Yeah, there's
Roxy
a few in
Music's
there.
Good.
Mm. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, I've got to go and
Wait,
rewatch the Gravel
pause
World
for one
Stuff.
second. Oh, I've got to go. Anyway.
Yeah, me too,
Yeah.
actually.
Oh,
right.
that's handy.
Well, you
Okay.
go, George, and me and Jones will wrap it up.
Okay, wrap it up. Good stuff.
All right.
See you
See
guys.
you, mate.
Bye.
Good luck.
So you're on the plane tomorrow, Jonesy? Europe?
Yeah, mate. Yep.
Coming
It's
to-
been 5 years and coming back for obviously a big wedding. Michael Hepburn.
We'll do a couple of bits and pieces for the potty, I reckon, while you're here, won't we?
For sure.
I think the next episode we'll do is probably be you and I together.
Yeah, and we'll bring in some guests.
Yeah.
We've got to
I've
get some
actually-
footage of the worst band ever performing. We're doing our first gig in 6 years. Durbo on drums.
I've actually just bought a new piece of equipment for the team, for the podcast.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about it when you get here, but it's going to be a game changer, this piece of equipment I've bought.
Dual mics.
Dual mics, like a portable recorder.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so I reckon when you're here, we'll get some good content with around the shop.
Before you go, I haven't got a wedding present yet. And you know when you do the standard, like, you're just struggling to think of what to get. And then you put it out. You go, hey, mate, what do you need? And you get the standard, oh, mate, we're sorted. I'm thinking, like...
They listen to the show as well, so let's not give away too much.
Okay, let's talk about this off air.
I reckon...
Put in the comments what you think I should get for a wedding present. What's the best wedding present you've been given?
Yeah, let Jonesy know, and we'll send you a shirt.
That's it. George will send you a shirt.
Mate, you can always go with the duty-free bottle of gin on the way out of the airport.
Oh, yeah. That's it. Qatar, here we come.
Are you flying business class or cattle
mate.
class?
Cattle.
Maybe you could sneak into business class and snake one of the toiletry bags they give you.
Oh, yeah. Or there's always one that's left on the seat when you're walking out.
One of the bottles, like full bottle of water still, that someone didn't drink.
Yeah, face cream.
In fact, when everyone's sleeping, just go through everyone's hand luggage while everyone's sleeping on the flight. You'll find something that's worth giving away.
Yeah. No, for sure. All right, it's going to be sorted. I think we should do like a social distance head-to-head golf game.
Yeah.
You versus me and see who they think's going to win because I hear you're in red hot form. So.
Yeah, so comment below as well. We've got about 48 hours after this episode's released, Jones and I are playing
First annual.
Are we playing off the stick or are we playing skins?
We'll go skins.
We'll play, so who's gonna win the most holes out of 18? Comment below who you think. And we'll
whoever guesses the correct score will send you a shirt.
We'll give them a shirt.
Perfect.
All right, like, share, subscribe.